This video is intended for auto repair shop owners, Euro repair shop owners, diesel repair shop owners, quick lube shop owners, and tire shop owners. If you're not one of these or married to one, then unfortunately this video is not for you. My purpose and passion in life is helping shop owners live the life they envisioned when they first started on the journey of owning their own business. Let me share a testimonial with you so you know it's possible and you know I can deliver. What I liked most about Chris is he did not sugarcoat anything. Whether it was good or bad, he was real with me and had the real life experience to back it up. Do you have uncashed checks in your top desk drawer? Or do you not even bother writing yourself checks anymore? If that's the case, continue watching my video and fix these three things to put yourself on the path to success and start cashing those checks. 1. Fix your profit margins. 2. Control your cash flow. 3. Start reducing your debt. But first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Chris Cotton is an auto shop profits coach and cash flow management specialist, business coach, consultant, and trainer serving the auto repair, diesel repair, Euro repair, quick lube, and tire industries. As well as owning his own successful auto shop coaching business, he is also a subject matter expert in all things relating to owning your own auto repair business, as well as being a management training instructor with WorldPack, teaching classes all across the country. Chris also has several successful level up peer groups that meet several times per year. As a former shop owner and having been in the industry for over 27 years, Chris has lived through the struggles of working in a shop and not working on it. Through trial and error, he has learned all too well that you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Chris is fully committed to helping other shop owners learn the secrets of success and help them to build their business to a point where they are happy and meeting their goals. Testimonial. Chris is simply the best. He's everything you want in a teacher. Patience, kindness, and knowledge to get you where you need to be and when you need to be there. Hands down, the best coach I've ever encountered. Chris provides an experienced, unemotional perspective of your business, a perspective that is not clouded by the day-to-day clutter of your individual life and experiences, one that is not biased by the excuses you keep telling yourself daily of why you can't get things done that you know must be done. Chris also gives you a person to be accountable to when, as a business owner, you don't have anywhere else to turn. Chris is also a sounding board to bounce ideas off of. He hasn't heard it all yet, but he's heard a lot. Business is hard if you don't know what you don't know. AutoFix-SOS isn't just a training company, but a tool you can add to your toolbox for you to use to help you reach your goals and dreams. His priority is to teach you what you didn't know and implement these new ideas so that you can successfully run your shop forever. While I hold you accountable to all the things you tell yourself you're going to do, together we will increase revenue, increase car count if needed, develop a pricing strategy that fits your business needs. Together we will also develop a win-win pay plan that helps you, the owner, as well as your employees succeed in life and business. Together we will also develop a marketing strategy, hiring strategy, and give you the skills you need to hold employees accountable to the shop's mission, purpose, and much more. My personal story. I personally don't find my story interesting, but I'm constantly told that it is and to share it more often. I grew up an only child and was raised by my dad and granny from an early age. If you were to ask me how long I've been in the customer service industry, my standard answer is 40 plus years. It's hard to imagine for most people since I'm only 47, but I started out early on washing dishes and bussing tables at the age of 5 in my granny's restaurant. Starting out, I was too short to reach the bottom of the wash sink, so I had to stand on a pickle bucket. I learned most of what I know about customer service from watching my dad and granny in their business. Later on, while I was in college, I learned that was the last place I wanted to be. I spent a lot of time in the library reading all the wrong books. At the time, I would say I had ADHD or some type of attention deficit syndrome, but that was before things like that were diagnosed. After being miserable in college, I wanted something else, but wasn't sure what that looked like. So I answered an ad for a service advisor in a local newspaper and was hired. Little did I know that it would put me on the path to where I am now. Fast forward 10 years to being married and having the opportunity to purchase my first store. I grew as a service advisor and manager, but didn't know what I didn't know on the business side of things. So when I had the opportunity to purchase the location I was working in, I took a look at it and was one of those lucky people that was actually able to buy their business with no money down. It was pretty apparent early that I had a knack for building a relationship with customers and selling. My margins were extremely low, but not having owner type experience, I had no knowledge of what to do about it. And if I'm being honest, I didn't know I needed to have a better margin. I just knew that at the end of that first year, I'd done 1.3 million sales and was barely breaking even. The good thing about that much business is you always have enough cash flow to pay the bills. But after you look at it, you think, I worked way too hard to not make any money. In my mind, I thought, well, if we just increase sales, then that should take care of it. Boy, was I wrong. I managed to increase my sales to $2 million the second year and didn't have any more to show for it. Actually, I managed to have a negative 3% net profit. I never learned from anyone what I could do with actual profit on the bottom line and what it could do for me. So this was the aha moment for me. I decided not to continue doing the same things I was used to doing. To make a long story short, I hired a coaching company to help me learn all the things that I didn't know and to hold me accountable. In the end, after I learned about the things that I'm going to share with you and teach you, I was able to decrease the amount of sales and increase the gross profit margins and the net profit. When it was all said and done, I had a $1.5 million business that was able to drop 26% to the bottom line for an overall bottom line profit change of almost 30%. If I can do all this, then you can too if you follow my system and you run your business like a business. Enough about me. So what's the secret sauce to auto repair shop success? This is my 3-step plan to jumpstart your struggling shop and helping auto shop owners that are already okay do better and shatter all of their goals and achieve all of their dreams. 1, fix your profit margins. 2, control your cash flow. 3, start reducing your debt. I want to throw the term proof of concept out there real quick. Let's take a look at it. So proof of concept is evidence typically derived from an experiment or pilot project which demonstrates that the design, concept, business proposal, etc. is feasible. When I talk about proof of concept, I'm talking about the fact that I've done this with hundreds of auto repair shops all across the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. My coaching staff and I do the things I'm going to talk to you about time and time again, and simply put, it works if you do. These concepts are not something that we think might work. We know they will work because we have proved them time and again, giving us the ability to guarantee our results. Just finish the video to learn about our guarantee and how strongly we feel about what we do for you and your business. Fix your profit margins. So first of all, we talk about overall gross profit margins. A healthy shop that can afford to hire good quality technicians needs to be at 65% gross profit margin or better. That's great and all, but how do we get there? First, we have to make sure that all of our sub-margins are in proper order and we have those fixed and contributing to the profit and success of the business. Gross profit is how we pay the bills. If there's not enough gross profit, there will never be enough net profit. Labor margin is simply what we pay our technicians plus their tax and benefit load divided by what we collect from our customers. We have to look at everything we pay our technicians and figuring our labor rate. If we pay our technician $32.50 per hour, we also have the related costs to him, such as payroll, taxes, workers' comp taxes, uniforms, health insurance, holiday pay, vacation pay, employee meals, etc. Basically anything that the employee has as a benefit of working for your great company. If you have minimum benefits for your employees, it's about 15%. And if you have a great employee package that ensures that you have little to no turnover, then it's probably closer to 45%. That's right, 45%. For argument's sake, let's say that you're in the 30% range. In order to figure your labor rate, you use the following formula. Technician pay times tax and benefit load equals the actual technician cost. And instead of using the Oreo method, we can now actually figure out what our labor rate should be. I coach a labor margin of about 75%. So in order to figure out the labor rate, we need to take 42.25 times 3.5, which is 147.87. If that scares you, it shouldn't. You must start charging what you're worth and what your people are worth in order to run a healthy business. If you look closely at those numbers, you realize that it doesn't quite get us to the 75% margin. One of the other things you must be doing is using a labor matrix or a labor grid. This is simply a bump in time in order to help out with test drive time, cleaning time, and other things associated with working on vehicles. I'm okay going up to 0.25 for every hour billed depending on your geographical area. I'm also more than okay sharing that time bump with the technicians. Earlier I mentioned effective labor rate. This is where a lot of shops lose out by not having and following good procedures. First, you must make sure you're charging correctly for diagnostic testing and that you're paying your technicians according to what you collect and not how bad you feel for them and give them extra credit on. Effective labor rate example. Let's say you change your labor rate to $119.88 after figuring what your technicians are and go take that leap. At the end of the first month, you look at your labor income and can't figure out what is wrong. Here's what we see. Total labor collected is the 44,235 and the total labor hours sold is 465. This is all fine and good, but if we multiply 465 times our labor rate of $119.88, We should have collected $55,744.20. Although we had a great month, we could have done way better. So remember that effective labor is the difference between what we collect and total hours sold. So total labor collected is 44,235 divided by total labor hours sold, 465, which means we actually only collected 95.12 for every hour that we sold instead of the 119.88 that we should have collected. So what are some factors that go into this? One, not charging correctly for diagnostic testing. Two, giving things away, paying technicians more time and or having canned jobs that give more time than we are collecting, and incorrect pay plans for technicians. So if we go back and look at what we just went over, we need to do the following. One, figure out your shop's correct labor rate. Change it immediately. Don't wait. People typically are not labor rate sensitive. Two, implement a labor grid or labor matrix system. Find out what you're charging versus what you're actually collecting, effective labor rate. Take what you learned from the effective labor rate study and find out where you're bleeding, whether it be from poor service advisor technique, poor charging practices, improper pay plans, giving too much credit on canned jobs. Let's take a minute for another testimonial. Chris is a great listener and is able to look at the bigger picture, choosing very specific areas to work on based on the current situation. He encourages and supports and is able to lay out a vision for the business owner so they don't feel as overwhelmed as in the beginning. Parts margins. So parts margins are typically a little harder to control and increase than labor margins because people are more parts price sensitive than labor price sensitive. So overall, more complicated, but just as easy to change as labor margins if you look at it the right way. Oftentimes I run across shops that have a 12-12 warranty. When I see this, I really get the impression that you don't like your customers very much, people. Most, if not all, parts houses give us as owners a 24-24 warranty on everything we buy, if not even a lifetime warranty. You need to charge correctly and have a top of class warranty. Just don't be equal to those in your town. Blow their doors off. If someone is looking at your ad and a competitor's ad, they don't know or care if you're ASE certified and that you fix it right the first time. Those are absolute minimum expectations from their side of things. What they will notice is if you have a warranty that nobody else in the area has and that you stand behind your work. Typically, auto shop owners take care of their clients no matter what. So why not get paid correctly for it? In my opinion, every shop should have a minimum 336 warranty, and most of the shop owners that I work with have more than that. Some even have lifetime parts warranty and a 5-year 50,000 labor warranty. Perception is everything, and we have to show our clients the value we provide and the professionalism and passion we have for what we do. So the parts margin continued. I'm going to show you my progressive parts matrix here in just a minute, but the first thing I want to show you is talk about this just a little bit more. Really, the best thing you can do is put the parts matrix into your point of sale system and stick to it as much as possible. Realize that some things you won't be able to matrix, like batteries, wiper blades, and alternators, are usually the biggest things we get kicked back on when matrixed. Other things that affect your parts margin are lost cores, not checking vendor prices, and using your buyer leverage power. Not having a good process for tracking parts, tickets, etc., employees getting parts and charging them to you, parts going on vehicles and not getting on the invoices, and owners not holding service advisors accountable for not sticking to the parts matrix. Above all, stick to the process and remember the 99 good customers that you have that didn't complain about the price instead of the one that did. So this is a two-tiered progressive parts matrix. It has more steps than usual. And again, if at any time you're sitting there and you're looking at this and you're already making more money in one of these areas, then by all means stick with it. And what we have here is we have a regular parts price or parts house margin, which would be Napa, O'Reilly's, Advance, places like that. And then down here you have the wholesaler matrix, which gives you a little bit margin, but the wholesaler matrix is for shops that buy a lot from like WorldPack, IMC, and things like those. So this is from places that typically don't send to end users. They send to us and we're the middleman and then move forward. Some of the older parts matrices just had about 4 or 5 steps. This one has up to 7 or 8. And again, if you can do better than this on parts matrix, then I'm all for it. And please, by all means, stick to it and keep going. Whenever you go through and start working with us, one of the first things we do is verify your parts matrix and then go from there. So a couple of extra bonus margin items. So first of all, make sure that you're charging a minimum in parts and labor for shop supplies. Make at least 35% margin on sublet items. Sublet is anything that you don't do yourself in-house. Something like if you send it out for bearings to be pressed in, um, also windshields and things like that. Tires, guys, I love tires and the possibility that tires bring. I don't want you to compete against everybody else. I just want you to sell tires to all of your customers that are already your customers and already need them. If your car count is 30 cars per week, you should be selling about 39.6 tires per week. And this is on a rotating basis. Also, this holds true if you have new customers coming in, because you're going to lose some, get some new. This is pretty much in this across all my jobs. You should be making about 20% on the tires themselves, plus the mounting and balancing. You should be selling alignment with every set of tires you do, and you should also be selling an in-house road hazard. So next, I want to talk about cash flow management. First of all, most shop owners don't have any type of cash flow management. They just peel invoices off their stack in their office and start paying them until they run out of money and then go forward. This is the game changer in what I've been coaching in the last several months, and what we've been doing. We've been able to have huge strides with businesses and keep going. So one, we develop a process, we follow the process, we start small and build momentum. I'm going to go over all this at once and talk about my process and how it works from start to finish using charts and diagrams. I think it'll be a little bit easier to follow. So one of the first things that we would do is we would look at this breakout sheet, and we're going to categorize everything that you have out. We're going to do your parts, tires, labor, sublet supplies. We're going to look at all your labor expenses and everything like that. And we're also going to separate out your operating expenses, right? So we're going to set these up into several different categories, and we're going to develop for you like your technician cost, your total labor cost, your parts cost, your operating expense cost, and all your margins, and figure out where the money's going. Now, if we think about this like the old envelope system, like Dave Ramsey teaches, we're going to allocate all of our money into these different spots. Then we have the allocation worksheet. So after we look at that first sheet, we're going to come back and look at this. We're going to see if our sales are 10,000 per week. You would just put the number in here, and then it automatically figures it for you. So what we're going to have is we're going to have 100%, right? No changes. 100% is always 100%. It can't be more or less than that. It needs to be right there. So typically with all the shops that I work with, we start out in about 32% or more labor and payroll range. Parts, they're pretty good in the 27 to 28% range. One of the things that affects parts is our margins, right? So if our margin is low, then our parts cost is higher. And also, if we're not writing up tickets and our average repair order is lower, then the parts price is going to be affected versus our income. And then the target here is 23%. That's what I see across the industry. Operating expenses, most people start in the 38 to 40 range, and we want you down to 27% or less. In the beginning, we're going to allocate like 1% to the income tax and IRS, 1% to debt, and 1% to profit. As time moves forward and we get this dialed in and we're able to straighten these targets out, then our tax comes up, we're able to be debt free, and then the main bulk of it goes into the profit account. So let's add a couple more zeros to this and see what this looks like on a $1 million shop. So on a $1 million shop, if we have everything right and we're getting good on our margins, our total labor and payroll should be about $320,000 a year. Our parts cost should be $270,000 a year. Operating expenses, $380,000 a year. And then the income tax, IRS, debt, and profit. So these numbers are small. But what happens when we change these to our targets, right? So we're going to change that to our target. Change this to our target. Change that there. And then here's where the big thing comes in. So we're able to do this. And we're able to do this. This puts our labor and payroll at about $250,000 a year. Our parts bill at about $230,000 a year. Operating expenses, $270,000 a year. Our income tax and IRS, this is money that we're going to have in a bank account set aside to pay that with. And if your income tax and IRS bill is only $35,000, then guess what? You get to shift that over to your account and it's paid out as a bonus. And here's the kicker, right? So we've got our debt paid off and we're making a 20% profit allocation. This is money that's going into the bank every month, every week. And what we do is we take a quarterly distribution out of this to the owner. Now, the owner is also getting a small check out of the labor and payroll, but this is where the big money comes in. How would you like to actually be able to have the money that sits at the bottom line of your income statement and have it right here? I think it'd be awesome. And we're seeing that we're able to do that with shops now that follow our recommendations and what we've proved in our proof of concept is moving forward. So here's the thing that trips most people up, right? So we have several bank accounts, and when people get past this, they're way good to go. So this is basically showing you how many different bank accounts we're going to need. So we're going to need one for sales tax, we're going to need one for income, we're going to need one for payroll, one for parts, one for operating expense, one for profit, one for debt, and one for IRS tax. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then for our quarterly distributions, we're going to need one for sales tax, tax hold, and profit hold. Now these may change a little bit. You might have not as many, but also the same thing is you may actually have more. You may find that if you do a lot of tires that we want an extra tire account over here. I've also had people that have come up and said, hey, I want an airplane account. So we're going to split our debt between debt and airplane and buy an airplane for the business. So really the sky's the limit what you can think of on your allocations. You can pretty much go anywhere. And so I'm going to take this, our next slide is going to be a flow chart. So we're going to show how this goes and hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense, right? So we do the work, the customer gets the invoice gets paid, and next we have a deposit. So the deposit comes in, and I have some people that do this daily, and I have some people that do this weekly. It just depends on you how you want to do that. So before they do anything else, they go through there and they look and see what their sales tax collected for the week or however many days was, and they put that amount in the sales tax. Guys, sales tax doesn't belong to us. It's not ours. We shouldn't be keeping it. It's a pass-through through the business and goes straight to the government. I wish there was a way that they could take it straight out of our credit card machines and send it, but they never get that figured out. So first thing we do is we take out the sales tax and move it into the sales tax account. So now we have our income left after sales tax. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use that allocation chart that I showed earlier, and we're going to punch in that $10,000 number or $25,000 number or whatever it is we had for income for that week, and then we're going to disperse it correctly through the accounts. We're going to do 30% to payroll, 23% to parts, 40 to operating expenses, 2 to profit, 2 to debt, and 3 to tax. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do that every day for 3 months throughout the quarter. And then at the end of the quarter, what we're going to do is we're going to take this tax out and we're going to put it in another bank account. That way we don't see it, because these accounts will grow pretty good moving forward, and we want it to be like out of sight, out of mind. So what we can do is if we wanted to pay our quarterly taxes, we could. So we could do a tax disbursement and pay our quarterly taxes, or we could put it in a tax hold and hold it till the end of the year. Also in the profit account, every quarter we're going to take half of the profit that we have in there, and we're going to keep that to ourselves as a disbursement. And we're also going to put the other half in the profit hold in case we need that for something else. We're just going to hold on to that until the end there. So 2, we're also going to set up, we're also going to set up a way where we pay our accounts instead of paying them all the time, or instead of paying them as we get receipts piled up on the desk and things like that. We're going to tell all of our vendors that we're going to pay on the 10th and the 25th of the month. If you want to offset it so it offsets your payroll in between, you can do that. If you want to make it so that you pay your guys on the 1st and the 15th or however, that's fine as well. We just have to keep that in mind. So we as shop owners, we have people that charge to us, some hopefully not as much as others, and hopefully not as much as all. You'll get people that you do business with that tell you, oh, we only pay like 60 days after the invoice is done. That's okay to tell your vendors that. Tell your people that it's 30 days until they get paid, or you pay on the 10th and the 25th. By the opposite side of that, on this parts account, if you can get a better deal by paying your bill every week in cash, then save the 2% and do that. I'm also fine if we use these for credit cards that get points, as long as they're always paid off. We should never go into another month with having any of that money sitting in there. We want it paid off every month so we can take advantage of it. That would be the only way I would allow that or approve it. I'm all for getting airline miles, cruise miles, everything else. Although, um, you know, it's some people's prerogative. I'm okay with that. So this is what we do quarterly. At the end of the year, we have our final tax. So we're going to send everything to the income tax specialist. They're going to tell us what we owe versus what we paid and everything else. If we have a surplus in there, say we were able to save $40,000 over the year for final income tax, it only costs us 25, then the rest of that money's ours, and it comes as an automatic disbursement at the end of the year. Just talk to your tax man about how you want to do that and any liabilities and everything else. The other thing is, remember, we've had these draws that we've taken out throughout the year, because we've had half. So that means we have the other half that's been sitting in there for the whole year. At the end of the year, you take that in a final profit disbursement as well. So, the big thing is we're making sure that we have the actual cash that we should be showing at the bottom line. We have it on hand, and we're able to do what we want to with it, not what anybody else dictates that we do with it. Be in control of your destiny and move forward from there. I know this chart's kind of confusing, but hopefully it's made a little bit more sense for you. So the other thing is reduce debt. Once you're done on the first two items I've given you, it's time to reduce debt and expenses. We have two ways in which to approach or attack debt. The first is to simply go line by line on your income statement and see what you're paying in each category. And now you have to decide what stays and what goes. And also you need to reshop your vendors. And you want to reshop your vendors yearly, if not every 6 months. This includes your insurance. Don't get sucked into service contracts for uniforms, etc., that you can't get out of. And also don't make it a habit of dealing with people that have long-term contracts. If you're unhappy with their service and can't get out of it, then you shouldn't be dealing with them. And anybody that would lock you into a long-term contract, I feel doesn't have much just drew blank. I don't think they have much um, confidence in their services and what they're doing. So secondly is, remember that debt money we have been setting aside every week, right? So now it's time to see what debt you can get rid of by paying it off, and then not rushing out and buying things you don't have the money to pay in cash, right? So these would be things like equipment loans, etc., a vehicle that the business is paying for, anything like that. Anything that can be paid off and finalized and are not considered fixed expenses, let's get rid of those. And then that's how those profit distributions go from like 1%, 5% to 20%. Let's get out of debt and stay there. Remember, there's always a crisis, either locally or nationally, and you need to be in control of your finances so you can get through the crisis. You can't always depend on the government to get you out of it. So maybe in the past you made a plan and didn't follow through, or you hired a coaching company and didn't take the phone calls or make the phone calls. And because of that bad experience, you probably have a bad taste in your mouth, or worse yet, lost sleep over it or lost time with your family. How do I know I'm helping shop owners produce results for their auto repair business? Because we track and measure every step of the way. I've tracked and measured over $25 million in return on investment for my clients. That's not just $25 million in total sales. That's $25 million in profits, right? So from now on, no more uncashed paychecks. No more wondering how you're going to pay your parts bill. No more worrying if you're going to pay your rent on time. No more worrying if you can pay your sales tax, right? We're going to make that a priority, and it's all going to get done. So imagine all your bills are paid on time, your children's college fund fully funded, and being able to take a week off to go on that family vacation you've always wanted to go on. If you're ready to make a change, and you're ready to ask for help, and you're ready to receive and be open to help, I'm here to do just that. Now's the time, and now's the opportunity. You get to decide what the rest of your life looks like, and you get to decide how the story ends, right? Are you willing to take that final step and start working on your business and not just in it? I've helped others and I can help you. Here's one more quick testimonial. Chris is an outstanding coach and mentor. Chris is also very attentive to the needs of his clients. He has an uncanny ability to listen and absorb situations and help come to a great direction in solving a problem or problems. So what I want you to think about now is I want you to get ready to do a discovery call. This discovery call is just you and me, former shop owner and successful auto shop coach to current auto shop owner, seeing what can be done, just like I've done with hundreds of auto shop owners before you and my coaches. Click the button below, grab a time on my calendar that works for you. It's free. And for some of you, this call could be the tipping point to creating the shop and life you've always wanted. So now it's decision time. You can either continue on doing the things you always have, and you're always going to get what you've been doing in the past. Or you can jump on a call and let's see if our system worked for you, your shop, and your family, that it is done for hundreds of other shops who are in the same spot you are now. That's it. I'm excited for you that you're on a journey to create the shop you always wanted. But I urge you, don't stop here. There are thousands of shops across the United States who are doing it right. Huge revenue, happy staff, and tons of time with their family. Why can't you do it? Let's talk and go from there. Click schedule a call with Chris below. Grab a time that works for you. I look forward to talking with you.